Every month at the nursery I do talks and it's about whatever is looking good at that time, and because I've been doing this series of talks for such a long time, we try and do plant material that I haven't talked about before, because quite a few of the people that come to the talks have been coming over many years. So I thought it would be quite a good idea to show you what sort of plant material I am talking about, and this is it this month. Now normally I would do it in alphabetical order because then we can produce the paperwork for it, but I thought I would group the plants today so that I've got a slight colour theme going on with them. So we've got white, green and yellow in this particular form. Hello, I'm Rosie Hardy. This is Rosie Hardy Gardening. If you enjoy our videos, please do subscribe to the channel. Let's start off with the ones that I've got on this side. So this is the ones which are green or yellow, and that is basically their flower and maybe a little bit of the foliage. So this is a beautiful Echinacea. This is Echinacea green jewel. This is a very upright form. It has got very hairy leaves. That means that it can go in a sunnyish position and can cope with slightly drier soils. Very beautiful as it comes up. So you've got lovely flower buds here. Then the flowers open up and they've got this beautiful green petal on them, which fades and goes slightly creamy in the center there. The cone will come up and be a beautiful cone. It will stay greeny yellow on the cone itself. And once the cone is fully formed, that's when you get the perfume from the Echinaceas. Now this is going to make a lovely clump at the base and then go up to be a little bit taller. So Echinacea green jewel is going to get to somewhere just about a foot around at the base, 30 centimetres, and then somewhere between a foot and 18 inches in height with its flower. So that is 30 to 45 centimetres, but a really super big green daisy, Echinacea green jewel. Then we have the fabulous foliage on this super plant. This is Farfugium, and this is Farfugium japonicum Wavy Gravy. And I just love that name because yes, that gives you an idea. Look at these leaves. They just are completely wavy all the way around. They're actually quite large if you open them right up, but they go and form this fabulous shape. When they are first coming out, they've got a slightly buff colour to them. So don't think that that one's going over. That's how they come. And then they turn much greener as they are more mature. This will have yellow flowers on it. So it'll have yellow daisy flowers on it a little bit later in the autumn, but I don't think this plant is mature enough to flower this year. It will make huge big foliage plant, which is fantastic for a shady area. So you are looking at something that can be 18 inches to 2 foot across by about 18 inches high with really big wavy leaves, and then the flowers end up above that. So we're talking about 45 to 60 centimetres that way and 45 centimetres that way with the foliage. So a really cracking plant. Isn't it fun? There you go. That is Farfugium Wavy Gravy. Now something slightly different is this climber. Now this climber is Dactylicapnos. Now it used to be a dicentra and you'll see that with the flowers. This is a wonderful climber for putting in at the base of shrubs or roses on an arch or something like that, because it likes to be in a shady spot. So it will ramble its way up through, and then as it goes, the flowers will hang down. Now the flowers start off beautifully yellow like this. Then as they're going over, just before they set seed, they get these wonderful brown orange tips to the end of them, which are such a lovely contrast, and then it sets seed. It is a cracking thing. Now it is perennial. So the one plant will stay there, but it does come true from seed. So you might get the odd seedlings around, but very rarely do we get very much in the way of seed actually setting in here. We've got a bit this year of seed setting in those seeds, but it doesn't seem to seed around terribly badly with us. It has your typical tendrils here for rambling and scrambling. So it can get up to probably 3-4 meters. 12 foot, I suppose, so it'll go sideways, up, it'll go through things, but really good for a shady spot. Dactylicapnos, that one is. So that is really fun. Then I said we were doing yellow as well as green, so I'm not going to put this on the table because you can see that pot is on the ground and this plant is up at my height, and it can get a little bit taller. This is Rudbeckia lanceolata Herbstsonne, and it is fabulous. It has these beautiful big flowers with a little green cone to start off with. The flower petals always slightly hang down a little bit like a shuttlecock, and then gradually as the flower goes over, the cone begets a little bit more, I suppose, just a soft brown, and then when the petals fall off you get this blank cone, so it doesn't look bad when you've just got the blank cone. This will flower for a long time in the late summer into the autumn, being a really good height. So something, when it's above 5.5 feet here, coming up to 6 foot, so we're talking about 1.50 m, maybe up to 1.80 m. So a really good size of plant for the back of the border. It does make a big clump, so give it a good amount of space. As long as you don't overfeed it, then the stems will stay strong and it shouldn't need actually staking up, but it's a really good late season, lovely bold colour. Rudbeckia Herbstsonne. Then we have this one, which is just greenery. Although this does flower and it has minute little tiny flowers, in UK conditions it doesn't flower. It has already gone over, it has got frosted and it dies back. In the UK it is slightly frost tender. If you've got a more sheltered garden, then it will be absolutely fine. This is Eupatorium capillifolium, and it is grown for this beautiful foliage. It's very, very tactile, and you can see it starts off quite fine, and then gradually as the stems get older you get more and more branching off the side of the stems, and this will go on up and be really, really tall. Quite often used in what are more tropical plantings or mixed with annual stuff, so that you remember to lift this, because even though it is a perennial, it is a tender perennial. But you can take it from cuttings, so you could take a piece, like side piece like this, do it as a cutting and keep that going for the following year, because it will get up to this height really quite quickly. So this is probably a 6 or 7 year old plant in this container, but it's a lovely statuesque plant. Eupatorium capillifolium. Before I start on the white ones, I forgot to tell you that the Eupatorium likes to be in a sunnyish position and somewhere where it is a little bit windy, because it will then blow in the breeze. It's actually very good. Let's start with the tall one here first. This is Doellingeria umbellata. So this is also known as the flat top aster. This is a really beautiful thing for the middle of the border. It likes a sunnyish position. Again, it's got quite narrow leaves which come to about here, and then you get this beautiful head of starry white flowers just all over the top. So these are held almost as though they are little clouds up on strong stems. It won't flower anywhere lower down on the plant itself. So it's really good mixed with grasses, say, or in a herbaceous border, or somewhere where you can just see the structure of it. Makes a lovely clump. So it's going to make a clump around about 18 inches quite quickly, 45 centimetres, and then height wise around about 1.40 m, 1.50 m. That is 4.5, 5 feet, so that is really quite good. Actually, it's nearly my height, so maybe a little bit bigger than that, but a really lovely thing. So that one is for full sun. You can push it to part shade, but it prefers to be in a slightly sunnier position. Now, with some of these white ones, I've sort of cheated because some of them fade to being slightly pink. So we have the Acis here, and this is really something that grows from a bulb, but it makes a really big clump and it's very perennial, so it keeps on coming up. So this is something you need to have the space for at the front of a border, because it's already flowered massively, and then you've still got these beautiful little starry flowers. So they're white at the beginning, and then they have this little pink hint at the top there. Very, very fine foliage, which comes up quite late in the year. So the foliage comes up probably about June time. You get into July and it starts to flower, and then flowers through August. So it's a really sweet thing, and lovely for just making a mass and giving you a really good colour in the front. Free draining, sunny site. It is a happy bunny, and it's still putting on buds now, so it's really good as that sort of extra season low down, because quite often some of the low stuff you don't have a lot of flower, but that is really quite fun. Easy to divide. Then you have the Bistortas. Now this one is Bistorta affinis superba, not to be confused with Bistorta officinalis superba. So this is a low growing, what has always been known as a rockery type one, front of border, going to make quite a large clump. This is very good on, say, slopes or banks, because it will just put on these arms, and when it gets to a point where it likes it, these will then root, and so it's very good at holding soil together. But this is your height. So the flowers start white or very pale pink, because they've got a little pink item there. So these are your new flowers here, and then as they fade, they go off and they fade to being this pinky red colour at the back here. But it's a great ground cover plant. It's brilliant, as I say, on poor soils, really good places. So it's going to go wider than it is high with its flowers, and also it is semi-evergreen, so a really good ground covering plant. Bistorta affinis superba. In contrast, you have Bistorta amplexicaule Alba, and this one is, yeah, it's straight Alba. Okay, because sometimes there is a dwarf one. So this one looks small. However, it is going to go up and get to much higher, much taller plant. So this one is a lovely one. It's a good form. It tends not to be quite as large and exuberant as other Bistortas are, because I don't know why, but it just seems to be a slightly narrower leaf than the other amplexicaule, so it's a little bit less thuggish, shall we say. But it's just starting to flower. So on this stem here, this is the first flower here. Then you've got another flowering point here, which has got at least 4 or 5 flowers. Then there's another flower, then there's another flower. So you've got lots to come. So these are all going to go upwards. I would say if you thought about going somewhere like 2 foot, 60 centimetres for the base, then its flower stems are going to be quite upright, and they're going to be really quite see-through. They don't have as much flower on the actual flower stems of this particular form, and then that is going to go up to between 2 feet and 3 feet, so that is 60 and 90 centimetres. Go in most soil types, and you can push them into shade as well. So very useful plants for the border. Then lastly, in the white ones, we have this one, and this one is Ageratina ligustrina. Ageratina ligustrina is a sub-shrub, and it has very beautiful glossy leaf, and it can go up to over 6 feet tall, so that is 2 meters, and it can be probably about 4 to 5 feet wide, so somewhere between 1 meter 20 and 1 meter 50. So we're talking about a substantial shrubby growth with these amazing flower heads on the top of them. And these are, oh, we've got a lovely hoverfly coming around on there, so it shows that it is very good for pollinators. These are all the new flowers here. Now you can keep it shorter by pruning, and that is up to you to keep it at that, so you can keep it at a much smaller height. It wants a slightly sheltered site, but other than that, it is a really good thing, and it's a late flowering shrub, so that is very useful. And these lovely flower heads on the top here. So that is Ageratina ligustrina, and it is a really fabulous thing. Sun, part shade, but make sure that it isn't in really strong winds. Thank you very much for watching, and please do subscribe to the channel. If you want to watch another video of mine, YouTube thinks this one is perfect for you.